Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and once again it is time for a bench press day. Really, just an upper body day at this point. Today, I kind of assessed this and think that I'm going to bring the grip in just a little bit. I've been benching for the last couple weeks. It's pretty much at the limits of what we would call meet legal with a flat back. It is harder. I do feel a lot of chest when I do it, but I think particularly when I experimented with the incline, I realized I may be better sticking right around pinkies on the rings while staying flat back. And the reason for that, I get a little better leverage into the chest, because what I'm trying to do with these different grips and doing the flat back is to build as much chest as possible and make the lift harder. But I do think as I'm assessing it, it's getting to the point where it's creating such a mechanical disadvantage that I don't know that I'm putting the most leverage possible on the pecs. So I'm trying to mess around back and forth. Now the upside is I've still got really good growth stimulus from it. But I think next workout I'm going to go pinkies on the rings, because I noticed again when I went incline that way I felt better. It was easier on my wrists on incline. I noticed just warming up a little on the incline. My wrists have been hurting lately from the really wide grip doing it the same way. So I think what I want to do is continue what I've been doing, the flat back benching, all of it raw, but I'm going to bring the grip in just to that point, because pinkies on the ring should put my forearms 90 degrees at the bottom. Doing it flat back, we're then creating the most range of motion possible, and I will probably be a bit stronger because I am definitely weaker doing this, and I'll know as soon as I grab a 315 set. But the thing is, I'm trying to build as much chest as possible right now while I'm cutting down. And what I think is interesting, you always get people who make these weird comments, Blaha, with 5-year cuts. I've only been cutting 2 weeks. I haven't cut this year. This whole year has been either staying at the same body weight or very, very small amounts of weight gain. Right? I haven't done any cutting at all in 2023 till a couple weeks ago. And I'm down about 8 pounds right now. Now it seems to be kind of holding. Some of that was water weight. I'm fluctuating right about 220, and some days I'm waking up at like 219 and a half, things like that. So it's been fluctuating a little bit the last few days, but I'm gonna keep cutting down. I want to see what will happen, as I've said, with the loose skin, because I feel like a lot of times what we know loose skin is fat still stuck to the loose skin. So I'm thinking as I get leaner, it may tighten up some anyways, because it was a lot tighter. If you guys remember when I did the water cut for those meets last year, that one of them where I went down to 197, I was checking pictures and stuff, and it didn't seem to have any of the loose skin once the water sucked everything out. So I'm thinking if I can maintain a lower body fat for an extended period of time, go ahead and diet off all that fat around that area, right, in the love handle area, and have it there for a few months and see what happens if it'll get tighter, right? But as far as pull-ups today, I decided not to do any with weight. Let's just do body weight. Let's just take them to, hard challenging sets for me, which is about 8 reps. I'm going to the bottom of my range of motion, which is a dead hang. I've been continuing to work on mobility. The pullovers and stuff are helping. I'm able to even do pull-ups pain-free. And so for the record, those are pain-free. I want to be very clear there. Those are actually pain-free now, which I'm extremely happy about. I don't know how else to express how happy I am about that I can do these pain-free. It's just a good place to be in, right? So I did my 3 sets of 8. I was hoping to get sets of 10, but I just didn't feel I had those reps in there. Maybe if I had really pushed them, maybe I just pushed out, because I did do a weighted 1 and then 2 sets of 10 last time. And I was not any weaker on pressing or anything else. So maybe next workout I'll see if I can push those a little bit harder. But I do like that nice wide grip. I feel a ton of lat on it. And again, I'm just taking it to the range of motion that I can. All right, rows, kind of the same thing. I'm trying to keep these strict. Some of these reps I was a little touch and go at the bottom, and then I start pausing. Remembering to pause, and I think definitely the second set, I pause so that I get that stretch at the bottom. Yes, I'm using less weight than I'm capable of using, but I'm also doing these for a deep stretch in the lat, so it's causing me to drop the weight a little, doing them very strict. All right, incline, I noticed that 185 felt really good for 8. So I decided to do a heavier set with 225, managed to get 5 reps, all pause, kind of stopped there. But again, noting I do feel a little stronger with that pinkies on the rings position. And notice the forearm at the bottom. Okay, it didn't hurt my wrist as much. And notice at the bottom when I touch my clavicle for that pause, my forearms are 90 degrees. All right, that's a good spot to be in. And I know my flat bench is the same. So I think what I'm going to do all this stuff, I think pinkies on the rings again for a little bit. Keep building my chest while I continue to lean out. I do like that grip position. I feel like it brings a lot to the table for me as I've experimented around. And I feel just as much chest. But it did note, someone had asked me, what do you feel? Do you feel a lot of shoulder when you're benching really wide? I'm like, no, I feel all chest. I feel all chest. But what I feel is happening is I'm actually taking triceps out. I feel like I use less tricep. And I don't know if that's necessarily what we want to do. I'm also going to keep volume a little limited for now. I want to just focus on quality sets. So with tricep work, one of the things I've noticed, I like the idea of that stretch position of doing the laying extension behind the head. But when I think about what really makes my triceps just throb and feel like they've been hit with a hammer is Skullcrushers to the forehead. So I'm like, and I can move a little more weight. So I went ahead and tried it today. I'm like, let me go back to this as a weight I know I can handle. It's a little heavier. And it felt my triceps, the whole tricep, just felt beat up at the end of the first set. I'm like, okay, let's keep doing these. Again, I've gone a little back and forth with what I'm doing for extensions, and I think it's good for us to experiment with that stuff a little bit. I think it's good to experiment a little bit. All right, curls, I went a little heavier today, and still keeping them pretty strict, getting that pause at the bottom, mainly because I feel like I can handle the heavier weight. And I noticed when my arms looked the biggest on camera, I was doing the power curls, but I don't want to go back to the full power curl. I really want to get that stretch at the bottom. That's important to me. To again make sure I don't tear biceps on deadlifting. I want to make sure I'm getting them into that hang position to where they're lengthened and stretched. But it's kind of the same with these Skullcrushers. I feel like I can get a deeper stretch into the muscle with more leverage, because when I go behind the head, it puts stretch at the elbow, but there's less tension. I feel like it's the most tension in the stretched position when I do these to the forehead. And again, not only am I stronger, but my triceps light up. So I think that's going to be what I do for just a little bit. I'm not going to worry about other arm movements. Let's come in and do all the heavy pressing and pulling, get good at that stuff, and focus on really pushing some progression on these, some overload. Get some weight on the bar, still for higher reps, 8+ reps. Right? Everything was like between 8 and 11 for all my arm work. Right? But again, just keep building that muscle density. I think as I cut down, I think it's going to become really apparent where the muscle density is. I think a great example, anyone who saw, remember Client Mikey? We did all those vlogs, and then he went on a cut. He decided to drop out of coaching and just focus on cutting down. But that base that I built over a couple of years with him, the guy got down ripped. I'm talking like 7-8% body fat. He looks like he's just chiseled out of granite. All that heavy training we did, all that training, it built all that tremendous muscle density, and the dude looks dense as hell. So I already kind of know what the style of training I've done builds when people cut down. So I think, again, focusing on just muscle quality, getting all these muscles into lengthened positions, still getting a lot of tension on them, still doing the heavy work, but then coming in and doing, moderately heavy pump work just to continue to get everything bigger. But arms are going to need to be a big focus. You guys will notice mobility and arms are going to be kind of a high focus. And again, I don't think that we need huge amounts of volumes for arms. Come in and get some really high quality sets with good exercises after doing all the multi-joint movements, right? But I've got to build the arms up, and I need to make sure I'm doing stuff that's taking the muscle through the full range of motion. Same thing with the curls. People will say, is that full range of motion? Well, yeah, we are locking out at the bottom. And the tension is on there the whole time. I'm taking the bicep up all the way to almost a concentration curl position, doing them almost like a drag curl, right? Oh, yeah. The bicep has tons of tension, and at the top there's still tension. So that's one of the things a lot of times people's curls, when they're going up to the top, they're putting it in a position to where the bicep, because they're swinging the shoulder forward, they're using the delt. And there's nothing necessarily wrong with that, but if I'm trying to just build biceps, I would rather, just hammer the biceps. I don't need my curls to also be a front delt exercise. I'm doing all this other front delt stuff. I'm doing incline benching, right? So that's kind of the idea, so that we're getting it into the full bottom, the lengthened position, but then we still have a pretty heavy weight at the top that then has a stretch reflex on the way back down, right? Because we have eccentric overloading. All right, pullovers, I'm feeling a lot better with these. I feel like now that I'm able to drop the hips, I'm learning to breathe deep, take a deep breath, and then drop the hips. And I'm noticing, I feel like, particularly on the last set, the range of motion is greatly improved on these. It's been improving over time. I feel like my shoulder mobility is getting better. I'm going to keep doing this until I can do overhead pressing, and then I'm going to keep doing it. But I want to get to where I can safely do overhead pressing. And this is going to be the tool that gets me there. Notice my shoulders are looking pretty dense there now that some of the fat's coming off. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys next time.